What is up, everyone? I know it's been a really long time since I made a video, but I thought this was kind of an interesting topic to talk about. I'm just coming from the music store, actually. Might be able to see behind me. Not an audio music store per se, a musical instrument store. Mainly, a family-owned guitar store, well, music store that's been around for, like 100 years or something like that. And I come here every once in a while. I've been coming here since I was probably, 19, 20 years old. It's a little overpriced. I mean, a lot of the stuff is overpriced. I wanted to come. They got these really cool picks. I don't know if I can show you. I don't know what the hell just happened to them. Oh, here they are right here. So they got these really cool picks. I bought a ton of them. I think I bought like 15 of them or something. They're called Cool Picks. The reason I like these so much, and I don't see them anywhere, like there's a Guitar Center right down the street from my house, and I go there most times, if I just need a set of strings or something. But I come to this music store, I don't know, maybe once a month or once every couple months or something, just to support them, because they do sell a lot of other cool shit there. But this is the only place I can find those cool. They got like rubber, the part you're holding your thumb, they got rubber on them. And like my problem with picks, even the plastic ones, they're all plastic pretty much, but I mean the ones that have like the grooves in them, or they have like the dots on them that are supposed to have, like, nothing works for me. But I saw these, I just happened to be looking, and nobody, at least Guitar Center doesn't do it anymore. They don't sell picks like individually. I remember when I was a kid, I just wanted like one or two picks, or I'd like to buy different ones. Hold on, there's a big ass bump coming up here. I used to like to buy different ones to test them out. They were $0.25 a piece for the most part. So, you walk in there with $1, you can get 4 picks. Different types, Fender one, a Gibson one, or whatever, just to try them out. Well, Guitar Center stopped doing that, I guess, a long time ago. Now they're all in a package. You have to buy the whole package, so you don't even get to feel them. I used to use the tortoise shell picks. And those were my go-to, and they're really nice. But these rubber ones, man, are just awesome. And I needed some acoustic strings. I needed to get some lighter ones. I don't play acoustic very much, and so when I do, it hurts my fingers. And I switched to really light strings on my electric just because I've been playing a lot of blues stuff in the last year or two, and the bending just kills my fingers if I don't have light strings. Plus, it's just easier to play. I mean, I'm not in a band, I'm not recording. It's just for enjoyment, so I want to enjoy it more. So anyway, reason for this video and with the title, is rock dead? Is guitar rock dead? And if so, what killed it? Because I was in this music store, and there was no kids in there. No kids. All, old people like me. I'm not a senior citizen, but I'm not a teenager. And I remember, when I first started going to music stores, it was like nothing but kids. Now, this is the weekend, so they're not in school. It's Saturday, and it's during the day. So, that's when I was playing guitar and stuff, that's the only time I had to go to the music store. I couldn't go during the week because of school. And I had to wait till my parents were off work to take me there, to drive me there, because I couldn't walk there. So I would think now would be a great time for there to be like teenagers, kids, kids in their 20s, whatever. The only kid I saw in there was like carrying a saxophone, and it was, he was like 9. So what happened? I have a couple theories. For one, there's no guitar heroes anymore, like in the music scene. There's no popular guitar heroes. This lady's gonna run right into me. There's no popular guitar heroes. You know, there's no Van Halens, there's no Jimmy Pages, there's no Eric Claptons, there's no Dimebag Darrells, there's no, you know, you name it. There's just, you know, Warren DeMartinis, I mean, George Lynch's. These guys are still around, but they're not on the radio, they're not producing, you know, number one hits. They're just not getting airplay, and they're not really, you know, they're not really popular anymore. Let me rephrase. They're not popular with the young generation. You know, when I was growing up, when I was like 10, 11, it was still the 80s. So, I mean, you talk about, you had the Shredders still doing their thing. You know, one of the guys that made me, you know, the two main influences I had to make me play guitar were Eddie Van Halen, of course, and Jimi Hendrix. And I would say Jimi Hendrix more so only because I heard that first. You know, I think I want to say like, I was about 9 or 10. I was either 9, 10, or 11, somewhere in that range. And for those of you that are old enough, you probably remember Columbia House. I don't even know if they're still around, but back in the late 80s, early 90s, they used to do music by mail. So you'd get this Columbia House thing in the mail, and it would say, you know, was it like 20 CDs for a penny or something, just pay shipping. Then you had to join, and then you got like a CD every month, something like that. You know, so my friend had signed me up for that, again, even though I was like 10, and I just got the CDs for a penny and, you know, never paid for the CDs or whatever. But I didn't really know anything about music when I was like 9 years old. Like I only heard what my parents were listening to. Now my parents grew up my dad grew up in the 50s, in the late 40s, early 50s, and my mom grew up in the mid to late 50s and early 60s. So my mom was a teenager, you know, during Woodstock and stuff like that. So she was probably a teenager at the good time. My dad, he was a teenager in 1960. So he, you know, by the time the Beatles and stuff came out, he was already like, you know, in his 20s and stuff. So, and he likes some of it, but his stuff is more like doo-wop stuff. Where my mom, you know, she's more, she likes the Beatles and, you know, Yes and Mott the Hoople and those kind of Led Zeppelin and those kind of bands. So she grew up, you know, during the guitar stuff. So anyway, when I got the Columbia House thing, my buddy, who again, he was as old as I was, but he had older brothers. Then they like played the guitar and had drums and stuff. One year for Christmas, like each brother got an instrument. One brother got a drum set, the other brother got a guitar, the other brother got a bass. They didn't ever have a singer, but anyway. So I didn't know what to order, so he just ordered it for me. And when I got the CDs in the mail, you know, I put one in, and I'll never forget when I heard the opening line to Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child. When I heard that wah, that just wah, wah, like I was like, wow, that's crazy, that's awesome. And then when it leads into the intro, when it, you know, after the little opening and it goes bear down there, like that right there, just still to this day gives me goosebumps when it transitions into that. And I was like, what the hell is that sound? Like how, I don't know what that sound is, but I like it and I have to be a part of it. I want to know how to do it. So that's what got me going. And then of course I heard Van Halen, you know, Eruption as I got more and more. And Eruption, so I would say Jimi Hendrix got me interested in playing the guitar. Eddie Van Halen got me interested in learning lead guitar. And then blues, believe it or not, probably the first blues song I ever heard was Cinderella, Long Cold Winter. It just, again, I got it when I was like, it came out, in like 1989, 1990, so I was like 12, 13, you know, I still didn't really have a good understanding of music in general. But when I heard Long Cold Winter, just that opening riff, you know, that classic blues riff, you know, the like that classic blues riff, it's just something about those kind of riffs, those blues riffs, they're so, I don't want to say easy. They're so simple, but they sound amazing. And when I heard that song, that really made me want to learn how to play the blues. So, I get it. My uncle gave me my first guitar. I wish I still had it, of course. I see stories of these all the time from other people, like, oh, I wish I still had my first guitar. I don't even know what brand it was. I believe it was either a Sears or like a Montgomery Ward's, electric guitar. It was a Strat copy. It had one pickup, one single coil pickup. It was, the pick guard was chrome. And it was like chrome with like a red and black burst. And it had a rosewood fretboard. But yeah, and the action, like this is before I knew action or how to adjust. The goddamn strings were so high off the fretboard. Like I played the thing for like a half an hour, or I tried to play it, and my fingers were like hurting so bad. So anyway, so he gave that to me, and that's how I started learning. And then of course my parents bought me a Fender Strat Squire. The classic. But in the 90s, in the early 90s, Squires were junk. Today they're not junk, but they're definitely better than they were in like 1990, 91. So that's what I had. And so I started, playing on that. But my point is I had all these bands, that I was listening to 90, 91, 92. The grunge thing was just starting to happen in about 91, 92. So when I first got my guitar and started learning, the Black Album had just come out. There was still a lot of those 80s bands were still putting out albums. They weren't putting out, like heavy metal had changed. It was going more, a lot of the palm muting was going away. Your bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, those kind of bands, they weren't putting out as, I don't want to say as heavy, because they were still heavy, but they were not as reminiscent of the 80s, like the fast palm muting. There was still some palm muting going on, but it was like slow and melodic. It fit with the song. It wasn't just, 1,000 beats per minute kind of palm muting like it used to be. Like listen to Metallica Black Album, and then listen to Metallica Kill 'Em All, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So anyway, so those bands were still good, and they were on the charts. Again, I'm not saying like you judge heavy metal or rock music by how it is on the charts. My point is it was known, it was worldwide, it was very popular. Bands, Metallica Black, that was a worldwide phenomenon. They sold millions of copies of that record all over the world. They were on the radio all the time. I remember Enter Sandman was on all the time. Sad But True. Anywhere I wrote, like the whole A-side, the whole side one of Metallica Black, like every single one of those songs was like a number, not number one, but they were all singles. Like they were all on the radio, except for, I don't remember Don't Tread on Me being on the radio. And maybe if it was, I don't remember it. But I remember all the rest of those songs getting a lot of airplay. Not Don't Tread on Me, and then not really much from the B-side either, which is weird, but because that whole album is pretty good. But anyway, all those songs were on the radio, and then you had bands like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots. Again, not heavy metal, but they were branches of hard rock that kind of sprung. But they were good guitar players. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, great guitar player. Kim Thayil, Chris Cornell, Soundgarden, great guitar player. The guys from Pearl Jam, great guitar player. Very Hendrix-esque guitar licks. Very talented, very good guitar players. So I had those, again, those songs were on the radio too. I was listening to a song on the way to the guitar store when I decided to make this video. I was listening to Roundabout by Yes, and if you're not familiar with that, you definitely should be, because it's a great, great song. But think about that song for a second, and then think about some of the songs today. So that song from Yes, now that came out in 1971. Now again, music was a lot different in 1971. Some of the songs that were popular when that song came out, they were competing with a lot of music. Stairway to Heaven was out in 71. What else? Eric Clapton, I think, had a song out, or they had music out. What else? The Stones, I think Brown Sugar came out around 71. The Who had some songs out in 71. I think Baba O'Reilly was out in 71. So, I mean, you're talking about classic songs. Now, back then, they weren't classic, but just think about listening to the radio and just hearing those songs. Just mad guitar songs. Just, songs that would be classic. That Yes song, that Yes song is very intricate. It has a lot of different guitar parts, a lot of different harmonies. It's got an acoustic. The bass line in that song is amazing. Great drums, good singing. There's organs in there, piano, just amazing stuff. Probably took a while to write that song. Wasn't like I was just sitting in my room one night and I wrote the entire Roundabout song. Probably took a couple of days to put that whole thing together. Think about now, when was the last time you turned on the radio and there was an intricate song like that? Or that rock was dominating the charts? I think right now, probably the guy that comes to mind when I think of any modern radio, again, I'm talking radio, and I know radio sucks and it's changed and all that, I get it, but again, people still listen to it and it's a way to get your music out there. Most of the stuff's online, but when I think of a guitar player today, probably the two biggest ones that come to my mind are John Mayer, who is an amazing guitar player, but he doesn't play like hard rock, and he's kind of more, I don't know, I don't even really know what to call his style. Soft rock, contemporary, easy listening, I don't know. Great guitar player. I don't want to take anything away from John Mayer. He's 1,000 times better than I'll ever be. No question. I mean, the guy he's got some of the greatest licks I've ever heard. He's not producing songs the same as like Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and those it's not a hard rock type thing. And then Joe Bonamassa. Now, Joe Bonamassa, of course, is a blues guy. And again, he's not very popular on radio. He's got underground, his concerts sell out. I mean, he's popular, but he's not in your face every day where, kids are going to see him. And I think that's part of the problem, is that kids, when they're coming up, they're not being exposed to this stuff unless it's through someone like me, like their parents. Like my son is going to be 8 years old. He hears all this music because I play it in the truck and I play guitar at home, and he hears me. But my parents didn't play any instruments at all. There was no music in my house other than the oldies station and when I was driving in the car. And my dad predominantly had all of the music. He did all the music. My mom didn't really care. My dad always played all the music in the car and in the house. And again, that was all doo-wop, doo-wop stuff. So I think these kids, they're not hearing. And then when they hear bands today, it's all power chord drowned out by heavy distortion. There's just there's not a lot of good melodies. And it's just, again, there's no guitar heroes. And it's sad, and I think that's one of the reasons why, rock took a really big decline, because also top 40 is just a lot of pop stuff. Your Katy Perry's, your Beyonce's, those kind of things. And I'm not taking anything away from those people because they can sing. Of course, there's auto-tune, again, which wasn't really around back in the 80s and the 70s. So I can't sing at all. I'm a terrible singer. Terrible. But I think with auto-tune, I probably could sing. I have it on my phone. I haven't tried it yet. I want to, but I haven't got to try it yet. So I just think, that's one of the main reasons why guitar rock has just gone downhill. There's just not a lot of people playing it anymore, and that's a shame. So, but I don't know how to bring it back. And it'll probably never be what it was. It'll never probably be dominating like it once was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But I mean, these bands today, a lot of them are not worldwide like Pearl Jam and I'm talking about today bands. I'm not talking about bands that are still around. Like, yes, of course, Metallica can still sell out an arena. You know, Guns N' Roses, yes, we've seen. They can still sell out arenas. The Rolling Stones, they can still sell out arenas. I'm talking about new bands. How many new bands that you see are selling out arenas and can sell out an arena all over the world? That hasn't happened in a long time. You know, like some of these bands, some of these hard rock bands are not, they can't, you know, like back in the 90s, even in the early 90s, I mean, bands like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, they were selling out arenas here, and they were popular worldwide. I mean, they had #1 hits. They were selling out arenas all over the place. Same thing with the 80s metal guys, like Poison, Motley Crue, you know, those guys, they were selling out arenas all over the world. You can watch the videos on YouTube of concerts in like Rio and Russia and Argentina, and there, you know, hundreds of thousands of people there. What band today that's came out in the last couple years can sell out an arena all over the world? I don't really know of any. There's probably, and I don't know every single band that's out there today, but you don't hear that kind of domination anymore. So, I don't know. Let me know your comments. What do you think killed rock? Is there a chance it can come back? If so, how? Take care, guys.